Hello.
Welcome to another Noonas live stream. So if you listened to our episode from this week, you can probably guess, and also saw the title of this video, you can probably guess what this is going to be about. That's right. We're going to be talking about not the first two, but the first 4 episodes of the drama Tomorrow. Hello, Rachel. How are you? So yeah, that's what we're just going to talk about the new Netflix drama Tomorrow with Rawoon in it. So
which could really have a different name to make life easier, so that we don't sound so much like who's on first sketch here. Today we're going to talk about tomorrow. When?
Yeah.
It makes you feel like it should be like a time travel drama or something.
Yeah.
I mean, like it is, but like. Not as
I get the title of the show, I understand, but at the same time, I'm like,
tomorrow,
or like maybe always like push
tomorrow.
For tomorrow,
like put something with it,
Okay,
but like in like SEO standards, it's like terrible. I'm like,
I'm surprised that like there isn't a hashtag that's like tomorrow on Netflix or tomorrow, Netflix tomorrow or something like that. They didn't
make it a little
kind
easier.
Of do something like that. Like I know people are doing episode numbers, but like just hashtagging tomorrow is like
not helpful.
Not helpful. I feel like there's probably a lot of people who are not watching this show that are also following that hashtag for whatever reason. And
some of those motivational like people like following the tomorrow tag being like, oh, what's going on with this tag? This tag's gotten a little spicy of late. So for anyone who hasn't seen it, Tomorrow is a show on Netflix about a group of Grim Reapers who attempt to prevent suicides.
It's very solidly a work drama.
Yeah, it's a workplace drama,
especially with these like additional 2 episodes. It like squarely lives in a work drama land, which is very fun.
Big fan. We do love a good workplace drama here at the Noonas. So it stars Kim Hee-sun.
Manager Koo.
Ooh. Yes.
Or team leader.
She is. Who? That's all you really need to know. And it has Rawoon in it, who when they said, "Oh, Rawoon's gonna be in it," everyone assumed then that he was gonna be the one that everyone's swooning over. No.
He's
fine. He's fine. Whatever.
He's like fine, but whatever. I'm pushing him out of the way.
His character is dumb puppy. That's what the character is.
Whereas Kim Hee-sun's character is badass, sexy, awesome, just the best at everything. It also has Lee Soo-hyuk, our velvet-tongued, villainous,
swoony, broody, just and evil,
villain vibes. Yes, we love it. And then it has Yoon Ji-yeon playing their co-worker, and
I really enjoy that character.
He's fun. Also he has a mullet, so man. And then our queen, Kim Hae-suk, playing their boss, or
the Jade
God,
Emperor.
essentially.
That actually just reminded me. So we are going to do spoilers just because we're talking about the first 4.
Yeah, the first 4 episodes.
That reminded me of the shaman, like kind of the shyster shaman moment where it's like she was all like, "You seem to have good fortune. You need to come and give money to like the boss or the director." And so then Rawoon's character goes in and is like, "What?" And then he's like, "Oh, I was so stupid to think that this was like, they were actually bringing me to the Jade Emperor person."
Yeah.
But then when you see Lee Soo-hyuk's character come in, it's like, I just lost it. I thought it was so funny because he fell for the exact same thing. Like you expect Rawoon's character to be naive and
dumb.
fall for that.
Because he's
dumb.
The fact
that Mr. Lead, serious Grim Reaper guy. Like the fact that he fell for it, I was like, that's good.
I also
that was
love
good
in that
comedy
scene,
in that moment.
The shaman being like this high, and the Rowan being like this
and
high.
both of them just towering
ridiculous.
over her.
There was one scene in one of the episodes, 3 or 4, where they're walking through the office and whatever, and there's a set of stairs, and they sort of go past a pillar or something. And all of a sudden, Rowan's like 2 feet taller than her. And I was like, what is going on? Oh, he's at the top of the stairs and she's at the bottom. Okay, he is not that much taller.
You're like, okay, I know he's tall, but
he was not that much taller than her like 30 seconds ago before the pillar. But coming out from behind the pillar suddenly.
Yeah. Ay. The show is something.
Yeah, it's something.
I felt like episodes 3 and 4 were a little lighter. Like they didn't. Maybe just the bullying of the first 2 episodes was too much for me, or something. Like was heavier. I mean, it's still heavy. It's still suicide, but it felt a little less stressful or something.
I thought so too. It wasn't as dark as the first one, and I know comparatively it's not like the same, but I felt that it even in its like level, it was still lighter than it if it had been the first one at the intensity.
Yeah.
So Frankie says, I'm hanging out with my friends, even though I don't know what they're talking about. Guess I need to watch drama more. Yeah,
you know who Rawoon is. He's in this.
She knows. She knows.
I mean, we're just talking about like very nice looking Grim Reapers. Man, apparently that's like the number one thing to be a Grim Reaper is
good looking.
Right. I mean, even those 2 girls that like follow Duck's character around with their like clipboards and their little like they look fantastic.
They're like Secretary Kim ponytails.
Yeah. It's so good.
I love
and
it.
Not just Rawoon, because in the 4th episode, we get what's his face from Winter.
That's true.
What is his name? Because I always forget. Sung Yoon. So Yoon from Winter is in it. So we're getting a nice.
He did such a good job.
He did a really good job.
Like,
I can't wait for the next episode, which is a continuation of
So let's talk about that for a second. So based on the first 2 episodes, we kind of had assumed that the way the story arcs were going to be like 2 episodes per suicide case, essentially.
Yeah.
But it they diverged from that a little bit in 3 and 4.
They sort
like
of
the way it
overran.
overran.
One. Well, I mean, almost 2.5, right? Because the way that they dealt with it, they also dealt with a suicide case in the past. Which,
that's true.
Right?
So you got like the sprinkle of like
they did a little 2-for-1
life.
situation.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've gotten, but it was like they gave us a taste of, they hooked us into what the story for next week is, right?
Because I'm intrigued. I like, okay. When I do know that it's like not the end, like, okay, when you're watching a show and you know that it's the last season because it didn't get renewed or anything and it ends on a cliffhanger, you're like, God damn it. But when it's just like, oh, okay, I just have to wait till next week. Okay, like this sucks, but like, okay, because like the end of episode 4, I was like,
I feel like if they're not gonna, like with Western shows, if you're not gonna renew it, you need to let them know before they film the final episode, just out of courtesy to everybody involved. Which, of course, I mean, there was that John Woo's Once a Thief on Canadian television, and they did that. They canceled him before he filmed his last episode. So his last episode, he killed everybody. Like he just killed everybody. He just blew everything up and murdered everybody. He was like, "You don't want me back? You don't get my characters back either. Bye." And it was like,
funny.
"Ow."
Like that. Hey, listen.
I mean,
do what you gotta do, man. Go do what you gotta do. Which is, part of the fun of the K-drama is that they don't normally get second seasons. So like they're not going to end on cliffhangers for the most part, because that would make no sense.
They have been trending that way.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Not a fan.
They're not. Yeah.
So something I really liked about episode, I guess it was 4, was them coming in. So the little risk management team coming into contact with the escort team, like head to head, arguing. Like, I loved it because it wasn't just kind of an in-passing thing.
Because it was pushing that
really like
drama.
That we're like seeing those like little, groups kind of like meet, and then like also seeing, a different team of Grim Reapers like in their area, and you're like, everybody has their own area, and that's fun, and like.
And it was kind of like, oh poop, what are they doing? Because like we had no clue. Like, I mean, they're obviously looking for the lost soul or whatever, but it's like, but what are you up to? Because.
Well, I mean, like, it's also clear, too, you're like, of course, there's not just one Grim Reaper, like, catching the souls of everyone.
No, that would make no sense. You need quite a large team.
Yeah. But I like it. I think that's, like, what I'm really liking about the drama itself is just, like, kind of seeing, like, the inner workings of the Grim Reaper, like, society in general, and just, like, how they're, like, function. And, you get...
corporation.
The corporation, and then also I'm, like, super intrigued by her past and her backstory, because like the drama was like, hey, we're gonna kind of give you a surprise serial killer element in that she worked with serial killers in her past life, and I think that like what little we got was just like very tempting, and I was like, I kind of want
little tasty little nuggets just sprinkled in to intrigue us.
And they pretty much still withheld every single bit of information about the second guy, the Rungu, the Yunjin Jiwon guy. Like, they didn't give us anything in these 2 episodes about him.
That's true. Yeah.
But like they keep you on the line. You're still intrigued. You're like, I know nothing about what this guy's about. I know that he's looking for someone for some reason.
I mean, I guess they did fill in his personality, like his upfront personality versus Raoun's character, like, because they were going toe to toe on like everything essentially, which I'm going to be honest, I always side with that guy because follow the rules. Stop being an idiot. Read
and he's
the
like,
contract.
I read my contract. I don't know why you didn't.
Because, it's this eternal contract thing. Yeah, I read every word of it.
I made sure.
Because Rowan's character is all, oops, I about died. It's like, maybe you should have paid attention.
Maybe. Right? Like, you have time.
I find
definite Porsche energy with him sometimes. Like, I didn't pay a bit of attention, but I'm just doing whatever the crap I want. It's like,
But what I find interesting is that Lee Soo-hyuk's character was the one who saved him, despite the fact that he's like, I don't give a shit what happens to you. Fuck, you could die tomorrow. I don't give a shit.
He's like such a rule follower in the sense, right? That like this guy is not supposed to be dying. He is not on my docket. So like you need to like straighten out. Right?
I personally want to believe that it's because he knows what team he's on. Like his love of all of his life is on that team, and so he's going to do anything for her. That's what I personally want to believe.
Desi, I'm with you. Like, I'm with you on this.
I am like so invested in them as a couple.
To save,
Are you on that ship?
I am on that ship. The only thing that is like kind of pulling me away from the ship is because he's like, not to say that like other like bad characters aren't worse, but like his position in this whole thing and how he's very like pro suicide, you go to hell thing, it's just like definitely not my thing. I vehemently like just don't like that like brain of thought ever. Like, and so I'm with you. It's hard with him when he's like, yeah, I want them to die and I want them to go to hell because they committed suicide, and you're like, but no, like no.
But then if you apply it to like he's just super into rules,
but
then
like,
you're like,
but
okay,
it's
but like,
not because he was into rules. It like especially in the like past, like in the past life thing, it was definitely more than just rule based things.
Yeah,
because he was like really like vicious when he was like, you don't do that, they're shit. like let them do what they want to do type thing.
I feel like there's some history there,
but there is so much history, and I'm so into it. Even still.
I mean because of his attitude. I feel like there's possibly. There's a story there that we're gonna discover.
Yeah,
and
well, definitely the line of like,
sail.
I was evidently wrong about keeping you by my side. It's like, what do you mean?
There's definitely has to be that, and it has to be because of Rion's character, and she's going to like get him out of that. But I can't. I love them so much together.
Their chemistry is so
if this was a North American show, they would be angry banging by now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They would be having these behind the scenes things,
conversations.
Hate sex because.
Of course.
Yes, they have that
an American show. But like, we'll take these little nuggets and like, listen. If the ship never sets sail, it never sets sail. But
I'm here for it, and I'm normally not here for it.
Yeah,
so
but Jessie
maybe do it for me.
Climb upon a ship.
If Jessie's on a ship, this ship is solid as hell. You know what I mean? Like, this is an intriguing ship.
But I feel like Hee-sun has like chemistry with everybody. Like, she is that actress. Like,
that's true. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's probably like
some of that stuff watching today, even I don't ship at all her character with Rowoon's character at all.
No.
I would be very open to the two of them in a completely different project together. Like, there were certain moments where I was like, I could see this working. I could see this them together, not these characters, but these two actors. I could see
pretty
a solid Noona romance happen somewhere, but like.
That is not what is happening here, despite what
definitely
many misguided people in various comment sections.
I even really enjoyed the scene between Kim Hee-sun and Kim Hae-suk. Like, it wasn't even a long scene, but it was a lot more with them
too.
Yeah,
like that's actually a fun spinoff for me. Would be like just them doing stuff. But there's like obviously like a lot of backstory with them too.
Yeah,
you know what would be really fun? Okay, so like. Marvel made like Thor came out, and then before whatever the huge one that was Endgame came out, they had like these little shorts about Thor living with like a roommate in Australia, like something like that, like just these little shorts with just Kim Hee-sun and Kim Hae-suk's characters doing like office shit.
Well, if all those epilogues were just them.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, like this last epilogue, it was funny, but I really didn't need to see Rowoon's character forcing Kim Hee-sun's character to like be silly. I mean, it was cute, but I was like, that wasn't like insightful in any way.
Well, and like having that little final bit where he brings her the onesie, like we knew that's what happened. We knew that wasn't her idea. She did not come up with let's wear chicken onesies.
Let's wear chicken onesies, and make hearts over her head.
I like
she turns around and leaves, and he's like,
It was cute though. It was. I mean, it was kind of dumb when they like made the chicken themselves. I was like, what? Why did you have to go back in time if you're just the one who makes it anyway? Like that's. Like,
yeah. The only thing I can think of is if like maybe because. So they definitely did stuff and they addressed it a little bit, but she was definitely more into like changing the history and timeline and stuff, like a lot more in this episode than the previous episode, which is like kind of like a big jump for like such a short time. I'm wondering if like there's like more to it, like we'll start to see it and it be up thing. So like even just like the like them doing the chicken like in the past, it actually like is something that like contributes to farther down.
I feel like there's going to be consequences or something.
Yeah, sort
of
like
I'm wondering though is if they didn't change the timeline, if that was always the timeline. So that's why the Jade Emperor was like, "Oh, chicken? Yes, you should."
Yeah.
Well, no, that but like the fact that he then
original, right? Like because but the kid, the guy who the main character, he remembers having chicken on his birthday with his dad. So he always did have chicken with his dad on his birthday. So for whatever reason, he never did commit suicide on that night in particular.
Mm-hmm.
He dies later, but so did they change anything, or did they?
Well, I don't think in that sense they changed
what they
anything.
were meant to do, right?
But I think more when he goes and takes the picture with his dad and like so it sort of has a.
I cried a little bit.
Back to the Future vibe.
I do think that that's also going to be a thing. I think the like end game for this show is to get Rowan's character's dad back. Like I think that's a thing. But like maybe there is something supernatural that is already had happened. So like Rowan's character was always there. Like there might be like a time in the future episodes where he like remembers him being there in his like, you know, adult form, being there and taking the picture and stuff, and like it being a memory and like doing all this stuff. So like it's just this greater storyline they have.
It's keeping me interested, like intrigued, right? It's not boring or like, okay, it's just a story a week. It's a story a week, but there's also the big story, which is I like.
It's operating under the monster of the week thing, where it's like there's a monster of the week, but there's also an overarching mythology story that you get like that it all leads to this end.
Yeah, and there might be like episodes we focus more on, but like we just get like little bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah. So it's like there's definitely
as long as the writer has enough mini stories to follow through on, works really well with K-drama. Like often with K-drama, when they just have the one big story, they run out of story, and then you get those like 4 filler episodes that you're like, why are you here? What are we doing? So as long as you can add in, I mean, there's always another good, bad reason to, you know, need their services. So
yeah, we're all pretty. So OGSG says, I'm curious about the sidekick guy start. We all are.
We talked about that a bit in our episode about the first 2, but like the way that like it's already set up that it's just like in their contract, like, and she like allows it to happen, and it's something she knows, and she is like, it sometimes is like annoying, but like there's a greater sense of like it being a very important thing for him, and she kind of just lets it happen. It's like very interesting to see. I also like his character too in general. So like these 2 episodes we got a little bit more of him.
And he even like often he goes and does his searching thing, and he comes back sometimes to try to help, like off the clock essentially.
Yeah.
I love that she asks, like every time he comes back, she's like, still nothing?
Did you find it?
Yeah. And like she cares about him. But then like she was asking him, you know, like if you find your person, like are you going to quit the team? And he's like, no, because like I believe in this team. I believe in what we're doing here.
So there's a backstory there too. Like I feel like everyone who ends up on this team has like a passionate reason for why they're on this team.
And there's probably like a specific reason that like it's all going to converge into like one.
For sure. And it's going to be, you know, it's going to be the Jade Emperor's plan the whole time. We know, like, I mean, she knows everything. Like, she knows everything.
The like team is like, even though like she does mention how she's like, you know what, we're number 1 in suicides, and that's really a bad thing. In a sense, she still didn't even like create that team to like help combat that. It still like was made kind of by what's her name? Rayon's character, or Rayon's character.
Is it all just a machination of the Jade Emperor the whole time?
But like, there's also like, there's a reason why the Jade Emperor is allowing that team to be that way. Like at a certain point, like you would think that she would like get rid of them, but it doesn't seem like she's actually the one gunning for getting rid of them, but she is like giving them as much as she possibly can in her like power over everything.
Yeah,
because why they're like ladies in the basement office, and it's like you see her the old office and that sort of thing.
Because she even essentially said, like, I can't be just on your side all the time, and it kind of made it seem like that she almost wanted to be, but her hands are a little tied.
Run everything. I mean, you can't just. I mean, yes, you're at the highest, like, you know, Korea's #1 suicides, and that's a big deal. You also have lots and lots of other people who are committing suicide, and you've got to deal with those people too. Like, you're the Jade Emperor. You got.
I also did they say anything about like who replaced her in terms of like being specifically the Grim Reaper who gets like the worst?
They
of the
did
worst?
The bad guys.
They did not.
That feels like it's not a thing that like
you can just piece out replace.
On. Like
I feel like there's something going on there, you know, like.
Oh, and also when they were like back in the past and showing their characters and Rayon's or Kim Hee-sun's character, whenever she was like getting the bad guys, and then he gets so mad, like, you didn't ask me to go over to the risk management team. Like, you didn't consult me. Like, how dare you? That felt very intimate. That was a very intimate moment.
Yeah,
very like listen, if he didn't care, he wouldn't be so mad about it. You know, if there wasn't a little bit of emotion there.
Maybe
fly ship fly.
Soo-hyuk's character actually has like a tie to like when he was living or whatever to a very bad person, and so essentially she moving to the suicides then like caused that team to go away, and he feels like bad about that.
Who knows?
I don't know.
There's
I was there, but
I
think she needs to rub off of other teams too. I think that's like the Jade Emperor's like kind of goal, is that rubbing off on the other teams and her like looseness about like not trying to get souls and get souls to stay away from them. You know.
So we have a query here. It says division was just closed, right? I think it was absorbed back into just the regular.
I don't think it was like closed in a like a good way. Like it wasn't like, oh, we're closing up doors. I think it was like taken away / she probably stopped paying attention to it and focused on the suicides.
Yeah.
There was also like a brief like flashback to olden times. A little opaque situation. Don't know what that's about yet, but
that music when she was walking down the stairs and they were doing the flashes of the back. It's really good. I'm liking the OST on this one.
Yeah.
I also like the opening of every, the opening song, but also the art and stuff of every
episode. It's really nice. What I really like about the opening credits is they have like, they have everyone's name, but I love that like Rowoon, it's like they like Madonna'd his name. So it'll be like Kim Hee-sun, and then it's like Lee Soo-hyuk, and it's like Rowoon, not just the one name. I'm like, nice.
Madonna'd his name.
Like that's essentially like that's not his name. That's
Cher.
his like K-pop stage name. Like his name is Kim Suk-woo. Like they could have just gone with his actual name, but they're like, no. His stage name.
Well, when you made it to those stage names as an actor, that's where you are.
Yeah,
because it's like when Kyung-soo goes, they don't put Do. Like it's not like his credit is Do. It's Do Kyung-soo. So I'm just like, oh, okay,
maybe it's in his contract that he doesn't do that.
But I always get a little chuckle. I'm like, oh, the Madonna of the cast with his stage name. Good for him. Good for him. Very stylish opening credit. Very stylish. Everything in this show.
That's true. It's just very nice looking.
Speaking of style,
we're back.
For the costuming, when Rowoon's character went in for like his suit fitting, and he's like, "Wow, this is going to be an expensive suit," and Kim Hee-sun's character was like, "Well, you're dead, so we don't have we don't have to spend a lot of money on anything else." Really.
Yeah,
like,
like is it though? Like except that he's not dead. This is what I find so interesting.
You keep calling him dead, and you're like, okay, but not really. He's not dead.
Bye,
Thanks
Frankie.
for stopping by, Frankie. Bye. Yeah. So it's very interesting.
Oh, how did you feel about the comedy level this time, Jessie? Like, did you feel like it evened out a little more, or
a little bit, but I could go with this show without having Rowan's character at all. And I do think that like it's just I don't personally think he can handle that comedy with it and make it endearing. It's just comedy. It's just slapstick comedy. Because he goes into like endearing parts, but he can never match the two. And it's just so awkwardly over the top in
it
like
feels like a
places you don't
issue.
need.
Like
it's the direction issue, but I also just, this is not to say anything bad about him. He's just a young actor. I don't think he's like qualified to handle that kind of level of like slapstick. Because you can like see maybe like a good example was the woman they started working with that like had been killed in the car accident. She has a lot of like heightened comedy that she does with Rowan's character, and she's able to like be grounded in it
very
and
grounded
like, and stuff. And he never matched it even when they were in the scene together. And I think that's like what's glaring for me as a problem. And I mean, like, it's also a me problem because that's like the comedy that I don't like. But I think like it kind of like was better in this just because I think they spaced it out more, so it wasn't like 5 minutes of the thing going on. But I still would rather just like not have it at all.
In this episode, maybe part of it too is that the lows weren't as low either, so
it wasn't as contrasting.
It was a little more even. It wasn't like woo, like
so like even the Lost Soul,
right?
like the Lost Soul chick, it's not as if she was kind of a smiley character. Like she was a light character of sorts, to where even though the situation was maybe sad, she was always a light. So it even, it brought it up more than if her character was always despairing, it would have been much heavier.
Yeah. And I think also like what type of like, what Sarah, I agree, it's like the character of a comedy type that usually isn't like for the main leads, and they gave you a main lead, like, so like you would usually have that, like, say like Rangu's character, he would be the one to have that, or like the characters that you don't see all the time, so maybe like one of the other teams of like the Grim Reapers and stuff, you'd see it, so you don't have it all the time, but when it's associated to a main character, it's always there as almost like, for me, it would be like, this is like very, I can't describe it any other way, but it's always the threat of it being there. There's always that like, I'm there, like, when it's going to happen, because it's probably going to happen.
Especially during a really heavy moment, you're like, you don't think they're going to necessarily do it in the middle of the super heavy moment, but you think, are they going to give enough space after to make it appropriate? Because you think there are times that they turn the corner a little quick, to where it's like they make Rowan's character do a funny face or something. It's like,
it's not like it's not a thing that like K-dramas wouldn't do, like other K-dramas would do.
Oh
it.
yeah,
so, like, it's not like it's not a thing like used in other K-dramas. So that's like it. I mean, it's not enough for me to not keep going, because I am very interested in the rest of like the plots, especially just like to figure out what's going on, how the like ties and like all the mysteries we have. So it's definitely like kind of getting me, but like I would say this is like the same as like Mystic Pop-Up Bar did. Mystic Pop-Up Bar did a lot of this comedy that I didn't like, and so it would be like large, in that one it was large portions of like other characters doing it, but it would be like still like the main like dead person of the episode, so you got 40 minutes of them being like that, and you're like, oh, okay. But it's not like weighing on anything, and I think like I know that I am not the norm watcher this too. Like I understand like people are probably into it and like it's great for them, and I wholeheartedly believe it's great for you. It's like perfect. Especially like whatever you need in comedy wise to handle this. I'm like someone who can handle any sort of dark thing too, so like that might also be like a thing where like I don't need the humor, because I literally, it wouldn't,
you don't need to be like taken out of it.
That's kind of thing. It would be too much, right? If it was just dark all the time, I'd be out, because I'd just be like, it's too much for me.
Well, I definitely feel like I did feel like it was heavy these two episodes, but it was lighter than the first two.
And I don't feel like
serious. I mean, it was serious as heck.
And I also don't feel like the comedy, like, it doesn't, make light of the heavy parts either. So it's not.
I think the only thing that's keeping them from doing that, though, like, good, and I hope that stays. It's also because they wrote Rowan's character as being, he's kind of like the human grounding force. Like he keeps bringing the humanity and the compassion too. And since they're trying to make that such a huge part of his character, like the only thing he's bringing to the team essentially, other than being a warm body or whatever,
skills, not have done that.
No,
absolutely.
Apparently.
I think because they made that such like this is the thing he's imparting to the team. If they didn't have that, if he was just like there, I would feel like there was more of a threat of the comedy pushing into situations where it really, really doesn't belong.
I can see that.
Because of those situations, his character always is busy doing the compassionate, human, empathetic thing.
It's like he kind of forgets. Like he's definitely like he leans into his like level of intelligence and like zooms off. He's a puppy that like one track mind. Like so he's not thinking about being a comedy star. But like then in like times when they're like back in the office, he'll be like the comedy star. But none of it ever glands. It's not like they're like, oh, him. You know, like there are like times when it's like you have like that character, and even in like the like, meanest or like most like upset type character, they'll still be like, there's like that kind of small smirk. None of that ever happens. It's just kind of like
there's like
that just anyways.
Just well, like, moving on. They're just like, thank you for that.
But by the way, so the way I don't remember what he did to screw up so bad, because then Kim Hee-sun's character got in trouble and had to get the ring put on, but it was all because Rowan messed up.
Oh, she got in trouble because she moved the cars to stop the dad from committing
suicide. He just thinks it's his fault because it was his idea to go back in time and get the chicken or whatever.
So then, she was upset with him, and he really didn't have any consequence though. Like, because it was built up like, oh, you're going to get an earful. Oh, you're going to be in trouble. And like,
except that I don't think that she was ever going to be mad at him because it was her idea. Like,
right.
So, the other guy who wasn't there is like, oh, you fucked up. Oh, you fucked up. And then it like comes to her and she's like, no, I fucked up. Like,
I'm the one who did that.
Like this idiot can't make you do anything.
Her. Why didn't you stop her? And it's like, stop her. Stop. Hee-sun. Like,
he wasn't even driving.
Come on. Stop her from anything.
How could he get her to do a damn
queen? Like, and that was very much her attitude. No, I am the boss of me. I make my own choices. I take the consequences for my choices because I'm a grown woman, and that's how that works.
I was kind of surprised that the ring thing was like the consequence though, because I almost for a moment I kind of felt like Tale of the Nine-Tailed. I'm like, oh shoot, is she gonna have to like go to some level of hell for like a week or something?
Oh yeah,
to, like,
yeah.
Like an actual like punishment. Which I mean, with the preview, it kind of looks like the ring is going to be a thing, but I don't know. But, the way she's like, for a week, I was like, what are you doing for a week? Oh, a ring, okay.
It makes sense as a consequence, right? Like, as opposed to a punishment, it's a consequence. Mm-hmm. You showed your powers in front of a person, so now you don't get to use your powers. Or you have to think more about it when you use your powers for the next week. And like, to me, the parent in me gets that as it directly relates, right? It's not like, wow, you skipped school, so now you don't eat for a week. Like, those two things don't go together, like it's okay, you used your power wrong, so now you don't get to use your power. Okay.
No,
sure.
Oh, what'd you guys think of the garage with all the cars and how Rune's character was like?
That sort of comedy works.
It's cute
because that's what woven in. Because you see where the comedy is going, and you're like, okay, it's gonna be some piece of shit car, and it was. And
I liked the chicken bit too, when the guy was like, wow, this chicken is actually crap, and he's like, no, I made this chicken, it's good, I'm sure of it, and he takes a bite and it just falls right back into his mouth, and he's like, oh, that's when I like to that was
just good. Him sitting in the car and being like, not the size for that car, You're like, okay, I get it.
The scene of him getting in the car and the whole car is just like bouncing up and down as he like struggles to fit his giant body into it.
I was having like flashbacks to whenever my husband and I go to buy a car because like I'm tiny, so I'm like, okay, like this like Volkswagen Golf would be great. It suits me just fine. And my husband's like, we went shopping for cars.
I never have problems fitting into cars.
The salesperson's like, well, do you want to take it for a test drive? And my husband says, the first thing I have to do is see if I can sit in the car. Like I have to fit. He gets in the car and he can't see because the roof comes down and it's like, he's like, I can't see. And the guy's like, oh no, just put the seat back. The guy had my husband literally lying down on his back in the car, and he's like, can you see now? And my husband's like, the roof? Like, I'm not going to drive lying down. This is not the car for us. Like,
womp womp.
That guy was trying to sell us so hard.
Yeah. Thank you for coming, Rachel.
Yes, thank you
definitely
for coming.
Have it up.
Sorry about
thank you for watching it later, too. But hopefully your internet kicks back in soon.
Oh, internet.
We
didn't have any struggles today, so of course
someone else has to. Yeah, usually before we start one of these, one of us is something
usually wrong. Before a live stream, I'm knocking something over. Nothing fell over today so far.
Or like updates are happening.
Yeah,
something. Just some nonsense will make itself known.
I will also say the special effects are really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like they're not overdone or anything.
Yeah, Lucy, my husband is 6'6", so and I'm 5'3", so finding things that like fit both of us it's a struggle. So I really like how they
we cursed it. We cursed it.
Maybe it was just my lamp. Let's just hope that.
Lucy, you're taller than me. You're taller than 3/4 of this podcast. Say that.
No, I'm 5'6".
Oh, you're 5'6". Okay, I'm only 5'3".
Me too.
You're taller than the Canadian line of this podcast. we weren't fed right as kids, so we never grew.
It's the cold weather. It
just keeps us compact. Yeah.
I liked the way they did the thing when they went back in time and you were seeing the dad and how he was struggling with his life and everything and how they mirrored the two stories to the point where when in the modern time the kid wakes up and you see it in his eyes, he's suddenly made the connections. He suddenly realized my dad killed himself. He didn't just die in an accident. He killed himself. And if my dad, who always told me to keep fighting, stopped fighting, then I'm going to stop fighting too. Yeah. And you see the numbers shoot up and you just see it in his head. Like you can tell that's the thought. He's had that revelation and now it's done. He has no fight left in him at all. And I thought that was a really well done little, so like such a short moment, but it's like he wakes up and you're like, oh, he knows he's connected the dots and they're not good dots. And it was sad.
Or what about when Ramon's character was trying to talk to his best friend, but he forgot that he doesn't look like himself? Completely forgot that he looks like this old.
He's dumb.
It wouldn't be creepy.
Reiterate, he is a very dumb man. His character.
Well, in day-to-day life, he doesn't seem that dumb, but when his emotions are in play, which of course he was worried about his friend, but like, once you're at the police department, like think about it, buddy. Think about it.
Yeah. So then when young Gil has to show up and be like, I'm sorry about this. He's crazy. Don't worry about him. Like, my bad.
But also, he's totally the one that picked a face that was like not even close to it.
Yeah.
Like,
he played him dirty on purpose.
Because you saw him smiling when he picked that guy.
He was like, yeah, perfect. Nice.
Ooh, it's storming out now.
Ooh. Yeah, it's been storming here for a little while.
Because the thunder and lightning. I was wondering, my cat came in army crawling, so I was like, well, maybe she like heard something because they have the door open. That must have been it. That the world is falling apart. She's got to go hide.
To a cat. The world is falling apart.
So anybody have anything to like in the chat? Any questions or anything to say about
any
it?
comments? Any tomorrow-based situations?
Poor Fluff,
poor
indeed.
Fluff. Yes, poor Lizzie. Poor Lizzie.
Yeah. I wonder how good of a like binge it would be, because I do. It probably would be a good binge, but when it is these arcs, I think it helps.
Yeah,
it helps watching 2 a week
because it feels like you get like a little story, and
it depends on if they do what I think they're doing. There might be clues that are being set up right now that we don't even pick up on that are going to come later, and like a binge of that would like help that. Like you'd see that because it'd be hours before, not weeks
right
before. But
you'd be able to recall quicker.
I mean, my sister and I are watching that Inspector Coup, and we watched like the first half back before Christmas, and now we're picking it back up. And something just happened. There was like one sentence, and we were both like, "Oh, do we need to go back and watch those first couple episodes?" Because
it feels like something's the wheels are turning.
Yeah, like, and you're like, "Oh, okay." But like, if we had just sat down and watched it in a weekend, we probably wouldn't need that. Well, this particular one we still might have because it's a thing, but like, yeah, like sometimes when it's spread out, you don't catch those things the way you do when you watch it all in one day, and you're like,
yeah.
I just saw that an hour ago, and yes.
Lucy, the struggle is real for the BL watcher these days.
Honestly, right now, the struggle is real for any Asian drama watcher. There's so many dramas out, and there's more coming in May. We're in this weird period where it's not even like we have a lull. Like this next month, we're gaining a lot more. All the BLs that are coming out, just like random shows that are coming out. It's a lot. I have so many drama. I've never had this length of a watch list before.
What sucks is how like you get into rhythm of like when you do have a month or so when it's like, oh, binges, this is what I really enjoy and whatever, and then just the way things hit, all of a sudden it's like, what's a binge? I don't know what that is.
And not
gonna
relate,
like
and not
stuff
relate
now as it airs.
Or even sometimes when you're trying to make time to just watch something. So like I was trying to just watch the last episode of Soundtrack #1 today. And my husband was around and he was fine. And I was trying to be available for if he needed to talk about anything. And we had a lot that he wanted to discuss about stuff. So I would, 10 minutes in, I would, okay, pause it. Talk for a while, Can I go back to my show? Yes, okay. I don't know how many times I did that. I'm still in the middle of that darn show. Like it's a 4-episode show. It was released once a week. Like, can I please finish this show?
Please.
I know. And I don't want to be rude, right? When like when a kid wants to talk to me or my husband or something, and it's like, okay, but like, can you, instead of just starting to talk to me, get my attention, give me time to pause this?
Yeah.
And then,
like,
but like
I get that you're excited to tell me.
And it's like, by the time I realize she's talking to me, I've missed the beginning half. So I don't know what she's referencing. I don't know what she's talking about. I'm like, okay, roll it back. Let me put this on pause. And now you have my attention. But like,
see, I don't really have that excuse. Like, there's only one other person in my house who talks to me, and also who lives here. But sometimes I'll just be like absorbed, and my husband will be talking to me, and then I'm just suddenly like, wait, so what?
Oh God.
Oh, you're being flashy.
I know. If I go, just know it's because of the storm, and that I am also really excited for Godam. So excited! I just rewatched the first season. I'm also doing a special post for it on my blog.
I'm also
really KDrama.com. Please
for
why did a KDrama.com?
Monstrous too. Really pumped for that.
Oh yes, Monstrous. Yes. Monstrous is my like #1 of the year that I don't think it's going to pass.
The archaeologist in me wants to watch it, but
the wimp in you says no.
Like, it's like, maybe through my fingers, I'll like. But.
Lucy, you'll enjoy this one. I picked up the first episode of the James's new show where he plays a cat boy. today. It's on YouTube. It's called Meow. It's not good. Okay, I just need to preface this by saying it's not good, but I'll probably keep watching it. If you loved The Bad Wig and Until We Meet Again, the Bad Wig in this is. Wow,
you should make a list. You should make a ranking list of bad wigs.
The bad wigs, I've seen. Exactly, Lucy. It's awful, but it's awful in such a way that you're like, well, I gotta see where this cat boy drama goes. This is so stupid. I watch it with the same energy that I watch Secret Crush on You, which has the same why am I watching this? Next episode, please. So bad, but
there's a J drama on Viki that they're dropping 1 or 2 episodes a week, but it's one of those darn contract marriage dramas. I'm like, I am not starting that until it's done. I know better.
I need my contract marriages in a binge thing.
You could also be like me, who's got what is it, the Hiru or whatever it is, where it's 25 minutes every week.
Oh,
why did I start it?
No. Oh, that was like watching Light on Me as it was airing, because it was 20-minute episodes or whatever.
Oh, I don't avoid horror.
No.
It attracts me like a moth.
The top half of this screen doesn't avoid horror.
And then there's times that I watch horror oh, Island. I'm totally pumped for Island. I'm gonna probably regret every single bit of it, but that is totally fine.
I need to, since everyone's since everyone, by everyone I mean Lucy and Sarah, are talking about The Imitation Wig. That wig did that girl dirty. I don't care who you're talking about. Some stylist hated this actress so much with that fucking wig.
And then she got her hair cut, and she was like, "Isn't it cute?" And then the next
10
minutes later in the same episode, the wig was back and her hair was long again, and we were like, "But you just got a haircut." Oh.
I'm gonna admit right now, I never finished Imitation. We'll see if I ever do.
Rachel, I don't know if you've seen.
Wouldn't have if we weren't, doing them over on Road to Hagdom on channel. I would not have finished that show. But
you think me being an 80s fan would have carried me through? No. That doesn't always necessarily keep me around.
Although, was great in it. He
was
a delight. He was an absolute delight. But that wig. Man, that girl's wig. And I mean, and just her in general, she just did not fit the role real well. So, and when you've cast idols in an idol drama, and then you don't have an idol in the
main character
really shows
of a drama about idols.
Yeah.
Choice.
Well, that is a choice. Yeah.
Yay. No, I should do. You know what?
Tomorrow thoughts.
Do we have any predictions? Any thoughts where it's going to go? I mean, I'm assuming that whatever the story is for episodes 13, 14, they're going to tragically lose that case. They're episode 14. They're not going to save the person, because you have to have, you
have to fail.
The big
they're definitely
failure. So be prepared going into episode 13, 14.
This will be a dark turn.
This one might not make it.
It does make you wonder when a dark turn is going to happen, because there's going to be at least a couple probably.
Well,
yeah.
That's just...
There's got to be some people who are there's some birth secrets Ryungyu and Junggil maybe are brothers, or something.
Yeah,
something's happening.
And yes, to Rachel, Hisan and Suhyuk having a little romance would not go awry.
Or even it doesn't even have to be present, just showing us in the past when they did have one, because we all know they did.
Yeah, clearly
something happened.
You don't have that much animosity without something to back it up.
And Rachel, all I was going to say earlier was that if you love a bad wig, you should definitely check out Until We Meet Again if you haven't already. Trigger warning, just like this show, Until We Meet Again does have suicide in it, but successful. So trigger warning to that, but it does also have the greatest bad wig. Just chef's kiss of a terrible wig. You love to see it. Mm-hmm. Also, it has a happy ending, which you can't always say about.
There you go.
So
I mean, it's not an entire show about suicide attempts every week. It's like the first 10 minutes, and then you get to kind of
get the fun stuff, you know, get the romance. And
so people talking about birth secrets made me think of like what other tropes we think might pop up. So for a second, I thought amnesia probably really won't be that big of a thing.
No,
but actually, my prediction has become because of when he got close to his alive body situation, and they're like, you could forget what your face looks like.
Yeah.
And that can be a problem. They were kind of specific with all that, so it makes me wonder if
why
would they have done that?
Oh, look! I just got an emergency alert for a severe thunderstorm warning until 8:45. But fun. I can see that, like, maybe at the end, Rowan's character does have like amnesia in like terms of like all the stuff that he did. Like, so he kind of like wakes up and doesn't remember anything whenever they like accomplish whatever they have to accomplish or whatever. I mean, it's classic trope, but like it'd be fun if he like woke up and like, you know, one of the characters is the nurse, one of the characters is the doctor, you know.
Which I feel like that's going to be regardless of whether he ever gets close to his body again or anything like that. Like that would be probably as part of the contract that he signed, that you won't remember anything, right? Because that seems typical.
I think like if he's gonna get close back to his body, it's going to be something he has to do, not that like he's going to do it. If they do it at all, I kind of feel like maybe them showing him getting close to the body and the effects was just literally for us to figure out what happens if he got close to the body, especially because we were on a case where he knew the person, so they were like, here's what happens, we'll show it really quick and you can move on.
The other thing I could see them doing potentially, although they haven't had any hint of it yet, so I don't know that they would, but I could see there being an enemy, right? Like somebody who is trying to, like, who's causing this suicide bloom in Korea and stuff. And I could see there being a moment where somebody is like dragging Rowoon closer to his body, like intentionally, or, you know, like I could see that being a potential.
But you know what? We all know what's causing the bloom of suicides and Korea. It's called capitalism, my friends. And that's all I'll say on that, because that's all anyone wants me to say on that. I hope that the person that Rian needs to save is herself. That's my little...
I've been like thinking that it's probably her. Like it just looks
like to kind of forgive herself, essentially.
Yeah. And that's why you know, the Jade Emperor is like trying to push her in that way so she can do it for herself, like, because she's saving all these other people, but she's not doing it for her.
Like she doesn't forgive herself, but if you see enough other people, then maybe you can realize that, like, hey, forgive
preaching to the
too.
choir,
and also that's a much nicer arc than having her have to, like, you know, sacrifice all this for other people. Like
that the idea that essentially the Jade Emperor is doing for her what she's doing for these other people. Like the Jade Emperor is trying to heal her and help her by letting her help herself through helping others.
I love the Jade Emperor so much so far.
I do,
like, I look forward to every time she pops up, because it feels like we get just a tiny bit of insight, but it's always like, man, I like that character so much.
She's so good. Like, she's just give her more roles as like the CEO of places and stuff, less, you know, dowdy housewife jobs and more CEO jobs.
Yeah. Please. Even like villain CEO, sure. Like she own it.
Inspector Ku, she's like
morally gray characters, or she can play it all. She can play it all.
Wild. It's very I'm really enjoying her in both of these works right now. So.
Mm-hmm. I also got this sense, Sarah. I was wondering if they would be following the premise that Goblin did, where all the Grim Reapers would get the job because they committed suicide. It kind of seems like maybe, but also not, because there's so many departments too that it feels like
not everyone could have. There's
it's hard with like Rowoon's character, right? Like you would think that like it would be more defined of him like committing suicide or attempting the suicide, that he's there if that were the case too. But like it still does mean that they can be just like, we're just going to use him while we have him, and then.
But also the attitude, like when he was down in the tech department or whatever, those people's attitude about suicide and about people who commit suicide feels very off if they are people who committed suicide.
Well, if they committed suicide and now they're like constantly, like they have to live their life constantly doing this work, like they could be like, in a sense, like mad at their past selves for doing that. I don't know. I'm like making a point of really focusing a lot of research on, because I just don't know like a lot of like the myth and lore and the religion like ties in like a lot of these shows to see, because I don't know like if it's like, could it be that like it's just like a standard that like Grim Reapers in Korean society are always that, so it's not something they're going to talk about because it's just like a general known thing too. So like I'm gonna like search it and see, but it could be interesting and give this show a little bit more.
What would be kind of cool would be if they like there's always the cameos, right? Like there's always the famous person cameos. If they just got people like Dongwook and stuff, like people who had famous like Reaper roles to like just be like passing by in the hall or something, like, hey Joe, hey Bob, like just kind of those like, and it would just, that would be, I would love it.
I kind of wonder if there's ever going to be the character too that's like, I wonder if they ever are going to bring some other gods in as well. Like, at this point it doesn't really feel like it. It feels like here's what we're dealing with, kind of like The Office strictly. But so many dramas often bring in like the Samson character that's like kind of the mother, like and I don't know if the Jade Emperor is kind of covering that aspect.
I do know, just in brief, like what I've been reading about, Jade Emperor is actual like the god of heaven. Like it's an actual real thing. So then I was like, because I was trying to find, because we had mentioned in the episode, what if the board of directors or whatever, they were like significant people. But like we haven't like even really met them too, like a lot. So it's like, I don't know, but like it could be, also it could just be a thing. It's just a standard like known thing in Korea, in Korean society, that like it would be like all like past emperors or like past big things, kind of like, I don't know, like angels or something like here, like I just don't know,
like things that you just know.
Like you just like kind of know, even if you don't subscribe to the belief, you still just know it because it's just like what you grew up with, and most people know, which it's a disadvantage to us, but like
it doesn't make it not fun to watch.
It's kind of like that scene about like the kind of the shyster shaman that brought them in to be like, well, your fortune, like since you've been fortunate, if you don't pay money, like maybe your fortune's gonna go away. The way that actually felt, and though it was a moment that it could be like a little bit of comedy and stuff, it honestly felt like those are people that you see on the street that are like, this happens all the time. Whereas of course us, it's like that doesn't
I will say I did enjoy the little bit of comedy where they try to be like Jehovah's Witnesses, like, and he's like, who opens their door to cult members these days? Like,
and then like they sort of, then he falls for the cult thing. Like, like that was the bookends to it. It was like, who falls for that? Me. I fall for it. Like, okay.
I've also been trying to see if there was like some connection with Uncanny Counter stuff, like if there was something in there that like would be part of this, that I could figure out something. I don't know. That has that kind of like air to it.
Watching the first couple episodes, when it sort of became clear that she had committed suicide and now she was, you know, a Reaper, I was like, the thought that came into my head was like from Beetlejuice, that idea that like if you commit suicide, you become like civil servants in the afterlife. That's your punishment, is you have to. I was like,
bureaucracy is your punishment.
Yeah, like bureaucracy is your punishment. Like, wow.
Oh, speaking of a random character that I like, he doesn't even say anything. It's the octuplets.
Yes, he's so fun.
He's everywhere. But especially, you know, it's a bit of comedy that kind of took me out of the moment, but I also thought it was funny. Like, Raoul did something like really silly to him. It was in episode 1 or 2. And then like afterwards the guy like did the little, it was like a finger heart or something, like, because he said I love you, and then behind his back the guy was just like I love you too. Just like with the car keys, like I'll give you the car keys, but I'm not going to say anything, but you know that there are restrictions to this, right?
Yeah. No, I like his silent acting.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Bureaucracy is a hellish punishment, indeed. Anyway, any final thoughts on Tomorrow before we sign off?
The tornado sirens are going off right now.
Oh shoot!
No.
Oh jeez.
Well, take care, Jessie.
So anyway, thank you everyone for coming to our live stream.
Yeah, thanks.
We're gonna sign off now.
Go
We will. So next week we'll be having a Wednesday live stream, but it'll be in the afternoon. So I'm, and maybe some other people will join me, are going to be playing a game called Idol Manager, where you try to make your own idol group and manage them and build your company. I don't know if the game is good. Okay, I've never played it, but purchased and will be playing it. So, yes, it will be a treat for you. You can actually attend, and it won't be the middle of the night. Oh Lord, indeed. So anyway, we hope that'll be at 3 p.m. Eastern time next Wednesday. So we hope you come hang out with us then. And we hope you have a great week. And thank you for coming. We love hanging out with you. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.